Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 110 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one at the Chinese Grand Prix. A bit of an okay Grand Prix, I guess. Action-packed, yes, but results-wise, not ideal for us. Losing ground again to Lucas Weber. He now has 2 wins in the last 3, of course, in the first of the season. This is round 4 of this season, so, you know, we need to come back punching. I'm not too sure if the win is necessarily on the cards. We're going to have to see. Azerbaijan, long main straight, so one would assume we might struggle a little bit, but at the same time, we had the pace at China, so maybe with low enough wings and a compromised setup, we can go decently around here, but I'm sure the likes of Ferrari will be very strong, but it's all about obviously doing the job firstly in qualifying, so let's go to Saturday and see how we do over 1 lap.
The circuit has rubbed in with practice, but this is still going to be a difficult session for our drivers as they fight for pole position. Welcome to qualifying here in Azerbaijan. Looking at this field today, Anthony, do you think we're going to see anyone take a chance? Maybe run the hard tyres and save some of the grippier tyres for the race tomorrow?
Well, I'd be surprised in all honesty. It's only the front runners that really have the pace to get away with that, and even then, at the end of the day, it's a big risk. Track position is the most important thing, and it's rarely worth sacrificing for a slightly more optimal strategy in the race, so I doubt we're going to see anyone trying it. I have been wrong before though. We certainly do see some risky decisions every now and then, and it's a gamble that's sometimes worth taking. But if it were me in the car, I would want to be on the fastest tyre for my qualifying lap, without a doubt.
Right, so we're joining on the end of our first final lap, then on the main straight here, which I always say is a motorway, really. But at the moment, Lando Norris sets the fastest of the session, of course, a short qualifying session. So right now, he does indeed have provisional pole, that is, for the young Brit in the McLaren car. We're in P5, down to P10 by the time we go into our second run in the middle of this session. But you're about to see we gain so much time just through the entry and exit of turn 1 there, taking a bit more vigorously than I did on that first attempt. And the same thing there with that next left-hander, up nearly to about half a second there in just the span of 2 corners and the small straight in between them there. So a very decent first sector improvement on the second run as we go through there. Slight lock up on the front left, but again getting even more time, up to 7-8 tenths gain there as we now swing through the left, then the fast right, then to the slingshot onto the back straight and the main straight, the pit straight I should say. We are up to P8 somehow. I don't know how that's actually quite happened. Weber was ahead of us on the timing sheet, but I think he's now below us, so I don't really know what's going on there with the lap times there. We somehow gained some positions without going any faster, but now we do go faster, and we go provisional pole there, ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris. But you're about to see, I paused the menu to just quickly check and kind of confirm my theory, and Weber, I swear to you, was up in P2 or 3 as I was doing my second lap, and then over the course of that lap, he somehow got his time deleted, or it changed, and he was down to P10, so that was a bit baffling. So at the moment, as it stands, I'm still on provisional pole. We've gained about nearly 3 tenths here on the third and final flying lap here, but there goes Lucas Weber. He pops in a time. Good enough provisional pole. Verstappen is now on pole. We're across the line. What have we done there? I think it's not going to be pole position. It'll be P3 in the end for us. It is an improvement of sorts, but not enough to go any higher, and Lucas Weber is demoted down to P2. So Max Verstappen at the end of the session then grabs pole position in his Ferrari. Not majorly shocked, but Weber for a hot minute there was in pole position, so he was doing decent. So again, like I mentioned just earlier, actually we do have some decent pace at a circuit where you might think we're going to go poorly because of our engine power, but I guess the Renault is pretty drag efficient. I personally run a very low wing downforce setup. I'm running the same setup I usually run at Italy with a few little tweaks to the suspension, but the wings are the exact same as I would run at Italy. So we've run a very compromised setup to try and get that lap time out of the car. And Weber, obviously, I mean, he's not going to run such an extreme setup being an AI car, but obviously he's just a very quick AI driver, so he's right up there. So good to see 2 and 3 there for tomorrow's race. So it could be a very exciting one. Obviously, slipstream is going to be very, very important in the race, so that's going to make things quite interesting in terms of, I don't think the lead is going to get away too much in the form of Verstappen there off pole position, but let's see if we can jump him at the start. Let's go to Sunday and see how we do.
And a warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today, so our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully away from the barriers. Baku City Circuit then, an unpredictable 3.7-mile track around the streets of the Azerbaijan capital. 20 turns for our drivers to navigate today, including the infamous Turn 8, one of the tightest and most challenging corners of the season. Anthony Davidson joins me today as we look ahead to something just a little bit different. It's quite high speed for a street circuit here, isn't it? Do you think that's going to throw up any unexpected situations?
Well, as long as the teams can keep everything cool, I don't foresee any particular big issues from a technical side of things. I do expect the track to be quite slippery though. We've not exactly had much chance to rubber in the surface. Any street circuit also comes with its own challenges, so I think we'll be seeing a few mistakes here and there. The smart strategy would be to expect a safety car, I think, especially early on when the pack is bunched up.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lucas Weber lines up on pole position and the engineer completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Hamilton, Norris, George Russell and Magnussen, Gasly, Ricciardo, Stroll and Max Verstappen, Giovinazzi, Fiat, Nico Hülkenberg and Butler. Bottas, Perez, they've taken a grid penalty. Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. Leclerc and Romain Grosjean sits at the back of the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So how about that then? This is suddenly turned into a front row lockout for the Renault team, with Max Verstappen having some sort of engine penalty or grid penalty there, demoting him down to P10. So it's a first place on pole there for Lucas Weber and myself in second. All front row Renault. You love to see it. It's going to be very exciting now at the start because it's basically me and Weber. The run to the first corner, the first lap. It's the battle maybe we've been hoping for. Obviously we've got a little snippet of it at Australia and Bahrain as well. Not so much China, but maybe this is it. Are we going to go full flat-out racing the entire race for the race win and second place there? I hope so for our sake on one hand, but also the other hand, if we fight too much, we might be susceptible to the other cars behind us if we're squabbling so much. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting one. It's that kind of, it's so early in the season that, you know, there's no championship on the line. There's no real massive thing at stake. So you do want to go hard and fast with your teammate. At the same time, though, it's early on in the season that you still have that kind of respect for the teammate. You kind of don't want to push your luck a little bit. So it's going to be interesting. It's the first real test, I guess, of me v Weber, because we got it a little bit in the first two races, but not fully, really, over the course of an entire race. Just a few little snippets. And Australia was really more so kind of me catching up to him, if anything. And Bahrain was a pretty easy kind of overtake at the start of the Grand Prix, whereas this one could be quite tasty. I'm hoping so. So front row lockout for Renault, second place here. We've got the inside line to turn one, which could be decent, but we know Weber and every AI is probably going to get a great start as per usual, so that's going to be tricky. But let's just get into this then, as we look towards those 5 red lights for round number 4 of season 6 here from second place on the grid. 4 lights are out and we're underway. A bit of wheel spin from Lucas Weber on the right hand side, but no surprise, he gets a great start into turn 1 in first place, but we hold second. Norris in third place there, so we haven't lost a position, so that's good news for us. But already I can kind of sense maybe it might be a 2-horse race in this race already, because we're getting away from Lando Norris. He's fighting with Hamilton. He's side by side with Hamilton as we now try go chasing after Weber, getting a bit of a long range slipstream. Meanwhile, you got Russell also tucked him up behind Norris and Hamilton, but you can already see visibly the gap is building as we go on towards the end of lap number 1. So I think everyone can strap themselves in for a race-long battle, perhaps, for first place and second between myself and Weber in the Renault v Renault battle, because we are in a world of our own right now as we now go for the lead maybe of the Grand Prix onto lap number 2. We set the Weber sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, but we are very close behind as we go toe to toe around the outside of turn number 1 now into lap number 2. We've got the lead of the GP, but Weber comes back at us there. A great brake zone for him. We're so close to being put into the wall. We're neck and neck. Weber gets a bit better acceleration there and he pulls back into first place. We've got the toe though. Can we try and make another move? And meanwhile behind, it's a 3-way battle still going on between Norris, Hamilton and Russell. Weber oh so close to the curb and the wall on the left, but he maintains first place. Good defensive bit of driving there from the German, and he keeps first place. We're in second though. Now we try and go down to stand and make sure try not to overheat the engine too much there. So we had a little pop and attempt on the end of lap number 1 into 2. Didn't quite work out and have to recompose ourselves and work our way back. It's going to be difficult, of course, though, because Weber is mighty quick, especially, you know, in general, the AI are always very, very quick at the start of their stints on fresh tyres, and that's a good example here, because we're on lap number 4 onto 5, and despite setting up, we set a green first sector, red second sector, fair play, but we're going to set a third sector green. We've got a personal best lap time there, and yet it's still not enough to really catch up to Weber, so we're, you know, pushing flat out, we're setting good lap times. You can see I'm actually pushing the car so much that I'm losing the back end there, trying to wrangle the neck of this car around this circuit there, and you can see the tyres going off a little bit with the oversteer kicking out as well as we go over the curb there as well, but pushing so hard. But Weber is just at the moment showing some alien-like pace there, and he's just keeping me at a very much more than arm's length at this stage of this first stint then, so kind of almost regretting not being able to kind of take and seize the opportunity of first place early on lap number 1 or 2, because right now it's proving difficult. But we're going to keep on going on, and hopefully his tyres start going off a little bit more than ours, and we can try and get him maybe towards the end of the stint before the first pit stop. And that plan and wish may just be coming into fruition here, as we're on the end of lap number 7 then. My engineers asked me we can come in for the pit stop, but if I can try and get Weber here, I'd rather do that right now. So here we go, we're within 1 second. We've got overtake mode, rich mix going here. In terms of fuel, obviously we know the engine's very fuel efficient, so even if we burn fuel right now, we can save it later on. So going into the negative, and we're gaining on Weber. Can we make a move this time to the inside? We go of turn 1 there, and we lock up on the front left, but that takes us wide and deep and swoops across the racing line, and we get up into first place of the Azerbaijan GP. But for how long can we hold this? Because the tyres aren't too great. The traction's pretty darn poor off that corner, and Weber, the way the circuit works with the DRS, he's now got the DRS on this second straight here, so he goes for a move on the outside. We go defensive to the inside, but he's got the move the long way around. We're so close to making a bit too much contact there for probably the pit wall's liking. Lock up on the front right, and we're nearly put into the wall, and Weber somehow has found the space on the right hand side there. I don't know how he did it, because there's such a big curb on the inside of that corner that it's so hard to actually find it through on the inside there, but he's done it, and he's had a bit of brilliant acceleration there off that corner, and he's just waltzed up into first place once more, so he leads the way again. And unfortunately for me, that is going to be his lap to pit then on lap number 8, so I'm forced into coming in, going on for one more lap it is, as obviously there's no point double stacking, because it is literally a 2-horse race. Like, there's no one near us. Russell is in third place, like a few, I think 6 or 7 seconds back there, so it really is all Renault. It very much is kind of a la kind of 2014 Mercedes vibes here. Yellow car v yellow car, rather than silver v silver, and myself v Lucas Weber here, but it's a Brit v German once again, but this time just different colours. And so we make that pit stop then on the next lap onto a set of hard tyres. It's a 1 stop to end the Grand Prix here, so pretty simple stuff. So there is Weber then, comes out, he's been in clean air, he's had no traffic. I hoped there'll be a bit of traffic for him, and so maybe the overcut would work, but we were so quick as a duo, there was no traffic for either of us there. So here we are, out in some clean air, lap number 10, and now we've just got to try and push on as hard as we can and close that gap back up. It's about 2.5 seconds, so just got to try and move on and try and close that back up, and this time when we go for the lead, hopefully, we have to try and make it stick this time, unlike the first stint. And so with that, we moved on about 5-6 laps then to the end of lap number 15 this season, and we are now finally within DRS range of Lucas Weber once more. Hot lap mode down to overtake mode though, as we got up into the higher gear, try and push on the engine as much as we can. Rich mix, and we'll have the DRS activated. We're a lot closer actually to Weber than I thought we would be off that slingshot. He's a bit slow, maybe saving ERS, and so here we go for the move on the outside. We go delicate on the brakes though, try and get this switch move here on the left hand side. Weber doesn't get the right acceleration. He actually cuts me off there, which I was very surprised at. I've never seen the AI move that aggressively to move across a player there, so very cool to see. And so Weber maintains the lead, but it's no use. This is what I wanted. I wanted to be still behind him on this second straight to get the DRS for the second time of asking, and then make the move stick into this left-hander. We've done just that, and we're up into the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So that's why I went kind of delicate into turn 1. I wanted to always be in second place for that second straight. That was where we wanted to get the move done. And so now here we go, trying to keep him at bay now as much as we can. We move on 4 laps later, and to be fair, we did pull away a little bit from Weber after that overtake, and then he started to kind of, equalise our pace. So we're kind of keeping him at arm's length on lap number 19 to 20 there. But then by the time we get to lap 22, he's coming at us at a rate of knots. He's now finally picked up the pace. I think he must have been saving some fuel or ERS earlier on, and is now deploying it now, compared to when I overtook him for first place. And so we're constantly looking behind us there. Weber moves to the right-hand side to make the move on the outside for turn 1. Goes the long way round. He's fully alongside us there. Little bit of contact made from the front right sidewall to the side pole, but we keep it clean enough and we maintain the first place for now through turn 1. Turn 2, okay, a little bit too much on the curb for my liking, but actually Weber had a nightmare through that corner for some reason, and he's way behind us now. When with overtake mode, we're pulling through on the left, going defensive. We move back to the racing line and cut across, and that will be enough for us to maintain first place there. So surprised we actually kept that quite nicely on lap 23, but we now move through to the last 2 laps of the Grand Prix, and here comes Lucas Weber now late on in this GP, and it's still, after so many laps, Renault v Renault here for the race lead in second place here. Weber across the line for the second last lap of the Grand Prix, again on the outside. This time he's so much further ahead there, but we've still got the nose in there, and we get a great bit of acceleration in towards turn 2. Weber though with a massively late brake zone into turn 2, locks up quite badly on the front left tyre, but manages to keep the momentum going and actually gains off that corner, whereas I had to compromise myself on the curb. So we have DRS, but it's not enough to close up fully there. You can see he goes a little bit defensive. We have a look on the outside. We almost swing it back on the left-hand side, but he blocks us off there. Bit of contact definitely was made. Again, we go on the wider line, try and cut back and switch it to the other side of the circuit. Doesn't work out for us, so we're getting very close to his rear end. We're practically pushing him through, basically on these corners, and tapping his gearbox or a front nose cone there, but he's just placing the car so beautifully to maintain the position here. So we've got 1.5 laps left, and we continue to just pile on the pressure. He is now the one in the kind of driving seat, as it were, in first place, and we're the ones having to do the overtaking. But to be fair, I don't know, you kind of almost want to be in second place in a way on the last lap, you know, because technically the slipstream's so powerful, it might be better to be there. But we're going to go for the move nonetheless through the left-hander. We're oh so close to hitting the wall. It's such fine margins between myself and Weber, and we've somehow kept it pretty damn clean through that entire section there, side by side through what is a very awkward left-hander with a massive bump on the left-hand side. But Weber still continues to lead. We continue to be in second place, and as we now swing through onto the last lap of the Grand Prix, remember. So lap 26, we are fighting on lap 1, and we're still fighting here on lap 26 in a world of our own here. It's the Renault world, and only myself and Weber have tickets to the ride here as we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, back up into first place, across the line with that overtake into turn 1, very confidently enough there. We've got a little bit of ERS to play around with, some fuel as well. We're going to go up to rich mix. We go lower on the ERS mode there, try and back up Weber a little bit, then try and go back into hot lap mode and get the acceleration off there. Overtake mode, then engage, but Weber is going to have DRS. He's going to pull through on the right. We go defensive on the left-hand side there. We've chosen our line. Weber with a great lunge around the outside and keeps it going through the entire corner. So we're literally wheel banging now, front right tire to front left there. Weber hits the curb and we almost get sent to the wall, and we're still going side by side now for almost half a lap. There's more contact made. We go deep into the corner. Second bit of contact. Weber gets it down the inside. We go for this switch back to the right-hand side of the circuit. We get the acceleration. We've got some space to work with, but Weber cuts us off, and again we go from the left to the right and switch it once more. We're now side by side towards the castle section. There's no way we can go side by side there. I have to let him go there. A bit more contact made with Weber. This is an absolutely sensational battle on the last lap. It's taken 26 laps to brew, but we finally got an absolute ding-dong battle with Lucas Weber at the 4th round of season number 6, but it's not over yet. We've got a few more corners to go and then a long old straight. We're in second place, but could we get first place on the run to the finish line? We're in second, but we're going to have DRS. We've got this slipstream off Weber himself as well, so he'll be using rich mix and overtake mode, but I'm pretty sure we have this in the bag. I think I'm so confident about this because it literally is so easy to make an overtake on this straight when you're behind. Here we go. We're going to fade to the left, go to the right, DRS open there, overtake mode, rich mix flowing, and to the line we run in first place of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and lead a 1-2 once more for the Renault Formula 1 team. But we get our first win of this season, and it's up against Lucas Weber in an absolutely titanic race-long battle. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
So there we have it then, guys. It's a second 1-2 for the Renault Formula 1 team this season. We've got the first one at Australia and here again at Azerbaijan, but this time we're on the top step. So we've had 3 wins out of 4 for Renault here. Weber with 2, myself with 1, and of course Verstappen, that man in 3rd place there. I'm pretty sure, I think he was the one who got the win at the Bahrain Grand Prix. So all 3 of us there are on the top steps of Azerbaijan are the ones kind of the main characters, I guess you could say, in the opening rounds of this season. But we now lead the championship by 1 measly point to Lucas Weber. I hope this is a sign. I hope this race, that battle on the last lap especially, and the championship right now is a sign of things to come, because also Verstappen is right there. He's level on points with Weber. So literally, the top 3 covered by 1 point. That is what you love to see, and I hope that is a good sign for the rest of the season. Guys, if you did enjoy the episode, then be sure to smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.